Alright everybody, so we have some Time 2 events finally on Shards again. With all the Black Friday stuff, we are looking now at Ancient Shards, Void Shards, and Sacred Shards. And all of them finally have a double chance. Now, one of the first things that I actually told everybody that created a new account is don't fall for the traps where we have progression events, time 10 events, and whatever. You really, at the beginning of your raid career, want to focus to pull shards when they are at a time 2 chance. There are a couple of exceptions. Once you're heading into the late game, then it might make sense for you to actually save your shards for certain fragment events and for other specific events, or if there's a champion that you really need for your lineup that you can target specifically. But for the first, I would say, year or two, it's usually better if you're just waiting for the times 2 events and then pull your shards. So I'm gonna actually pull shards on 2 accounts right now. I'm gonna pull shards on one of my free-to-play accounts. Over there I will most likely pull everything. And on my main account, I have now come back onto the main account after I took a bit of a break on it. So I will pull my Void Shards over there to see if I can get a decent legendary. So that's the plan for now. So lots of shards to be pulled today. Let's see if we get something useful, and let's jump straight into the main account. As you can see, I got a couple of shards here. I already pulled some recently when we had the events for the turtles. The primal shards, it's honestly something that I really would like to pull because I still don't have a mythical champion on this specific account. The sacred shards and the ancient shards I'll probably just keep. I don't have any plans of pulling them right now, but honestly the void shards, they've been waiting here for a long time and I want to see if I get something useful out of this. The rest I will keep for event rewards. That's at least the idea right now. So with that being said, let's jump in and let's pull a couple of shards and see what we're gonna get. I'm honestly hoping for a halfway decent legendary at some point in here. Well, okay. I gotta admit, don't know her. Let's have a little bit of a look of what we're gonna do with her. Dwarves is actually a faction where I'm doing pretty well, just generally speaking. So we have a continuous heal over here as our passive. Okay, so we get a revive, which is actually not too bad. I guess she's going to replace my Melga in my lineup for Faction Wars, and could overall be a pretty interesting champion also for a lot of the content, considering that she has an increased speed and also continuous heal here. So this is actually not too bad. Operates a lot around continuous heals. Not really what I was really hoping for right now. I think when it comes to supports, especially revive supports, I have plenty, so that's not something that I necessarily needed here. But then again, the team up that you have is kind of interesting. Does she really fill a gap in my lineup on the main account? Not really, but she seems to be super solid, and I will definitely get some use out of her. Might be useful for one of my Hydra teams, and I suppose in Faction Wars she is going to be a little bit more useful than what I'm currently operating with. So, we got our legendary. Alright, so far so good, at least for the main account. Let's see what we're gonna have over here. Well, just rares. Nothing out of the norm. I mean, honestly, it was crazy to me how long it took me to get my first cold heart, and right now I have so many cold hearts, it's actually a bit crazy. So, a couple of doubles. I have a Man-Eater, I have an Inquisitor, I have Genbo over here, so those are all doubles at the end of the day. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to use them as chickens right now. I will have to check how many I have. Might actually commission them in the Faction Guardians. But Kafru I do not have just yet. So over here we have, again, decrease the damage allies receive by 10%. So it helps me to support for Faction Wars. That might be interesting. Got an Unkillable here, got a Taunt here. And then we have also attacks all enemies on the A2, attacks 1 on the A1. So might be something that's interesting. For me, honestly, it's mostly I don't have him yet, so that makes him kind of useful. He can broaden my lineup a little bit. I don't expect to get too much use out of him, but any new champ is always welcome. And the others, they will just be used in order to boost Faction Guardians if I still need some there. Or just end up as chickens. And then we get another Seer. Seer I'm actually going to upgrade. I have currently, well, upgrading champions obviously also a really nice tool. I might do that with Genbo now that I think about it. I have a couple of Seers. She's absolutely amazing. So if you don't have one yet, I really hope that you're going to get one because she's incredible and helps you with a lot of dungeons to just speed up the runs by burning them. I have a few of those already, so that will help me to boost my Seer a bit, I guess. But I suppose the main thing that we got out of this particular round of pulls was really on the dwarf side, our, what she called, Senna. So yeah, as you can see here, Chimera, Hydra, and Demon Lord. So she seems to be a lot more useful than I would have expected there, probably because of the ally attack that we have over here on the revive as well. I mean, again, I have like quite a lot of revivers and some really strong ones, but she seems to get a bit more use than I initially thought. The turn meter fill here is also quite nice, but most of her heals really operate around the continuous heal. For Chimera, on the other hand, she might really be a bit more useful. I'm usually using my Duchess, or I'm using Eva over here. Eva, Elva, not quite sure. But those are usually my go-tos when we talk about any of those. But I will definitely try her out a little bit and see if she's going to do better there. Has an ally speed here too. And yeah. That is actually, I kind of missed out on the passive, so having the turn meter increase here whenever continuous heal activates is actually kind of interesting. If you're adding also a second one in, that's a lot of increased turn meter speed there. So, and she has duration increase on this one too. Alright, so really nice pull, I assume. So again, we'll see. I'm not quite sure if she's going to replace my current supports on those areas, but the ratings alone for her are pretty incredible. And at a minimum, she's going to help me massively for Faction Wars again, for Faction Wars Hard. And she's going to help me, I suppose, in certain Lost City, Cursed City stages. But yeah, so that was just the pulls for the main account. We're going to pull a lot more now, also a couple of Sacreds on my free-to-play account. So this is again the account where I usually invest at least in the battle passes that give you a guaranteed champion, like we have right now with the Predator, or in the past it was Xena, the Warrior Princess, things like that. Definitely not a high spender account, but I'm very happy with this, played it for a long time. But let's jump over to the free-to-play account and see what we're going to get there. Okay, we're now on my free-to-play account. Here the situation is actually a little bit different for a very specific reason. Now again, when we talk about my main account, I still want to keep some things back because I want to use them for events. Here I get way more out of pulling all my shards when there's a ×2 event because it will help me boost my account and really progress faster. I need to just broaden my lineups a little bit. So this is the perfect example of what I'm always talking about when I say you guys should really go in and make sure that you pull during those ×2 events. So let's do that right away and see what we're going to get. We're actually going to start with the ancient shards. So I currently have 37. Let's pull all of those and see what we're going to get out of it. If we're going to get lucky or if it's just going to be food in general. One of the things that I can definitely use here is, well, first of all, them as chickens, but I'm also still missing a couple of faction guardians, so I wouldn't actually be too sad seeing a couple of doubles here that I can then use as faction guardians. Now that I made a little bit more space on how many slots I have available for champions, let's get the next 10 on the ancients, and let's speed this up and see what we're going to get over here. So, honestly, nothing really that helps me right now. The 2 epics that we're getting here, not necessarily useless, but not something that really helps me to boost my lineup further. So, yeah, just nice for the event, I suppose. Get a few more rewards there, but it's nothing that really helps me too much. And this is, generally speaking, I gotta say, a little bit of a disappointing pull so far. I mean, having 2 Abyssals here is quite nice. Abyssal is one of those rare champions that you can use for a lot of the secret rooms and also other areas where you can only use rares. So he's definitely one of the stronger rares when you can build him. But let's face it, Abyssal is not something, you know, where you just pull him and you're like, oh my god, this is what I was waiting for. I'm also very sure that I already have at least 1 Abyssal that I built a little bit. Roughstone, by the way, is roughly the same. Everything that has attack all enemy, at least on the A1, but ideally on all the abilities, is always a decent rare that you should keep, because you can then operate with sets like a stun set and make them fast, just to try and control waves. So if at any point in the game you're actually struggling in the Cursed City or in the Doom Tower at a stage where you can only use rares, these guys are what you're looking for. You're looking for champions that have an attack all on nearly all of their abilities, and then you put them in a stun set and you really just keep going through that and stun them out and control the waves that way, and it slowly will win you the game. You will need more than 1 in stun set, but it works, especially at the beginning when your champions aren't all that strong. Juliana is actually pretty decent. She's quite nice. I don't need her right now, but she's a nice tool to have. Can be useful for Faction Wars, for example. Can obviously then also work in tandem with a couple of others. But yeah, generally speaking, at the beginning, for example, when you pull her, she has an HP burn that can be quite nice. You have the duo here with Romero. But yeah, she's a decent champion. Nothing that stands out too much that would help me right now. I'm obviously hoping on the ancient shards for a legendary, but I suppose we can all agree that's not going to happen anymore. So there's that. But we have a few more. We have our voids too, and the voids are honestly, where I just want to see what I can get here. By the way, talking about Senna, which I pulled earlier, I looked it up, and Senna seems to be one of the absolute go-to for Chimera. So very, very happy about that pull. I kind of underestimated her a little bit when I initially pulled her, because I didn't read through all of the abilities fully in detail, and I was like, that seems to be very much like what Elva is doing for my team. But she's actually going to be a really nice boost, so for Chimera in particular, she's going to help a lot. Here, on the other hand, I would love on my free-to-play account to get a legendary. It doesn't even have to be an absolute S tier. Like middle of the pack would be nice. Maybe a Sia too. Sylar is awesome. I don't really know on the top of my head if this is my first or my second Sylar on the account though. But Sylar is pretty sweet. Sylar is a really nice control champion that you can use in Faction Wars for a long, long time. Having the decreased speed here is nice. She's not really too hungry when we're talking about books. You have the decreased attack. And again, we're talking about a champion that on all of the ability has an attacks all enemies. So if you put her in a stun set or any kind of control set, she can help you to control waves real nicely, and has also for Faction Crips a speed aura if you don't have one yet. So she's actually quite useful. Even if I have her already, this is going to be a useful pick for me. Can just boost my initial one, but Sylar is a really nice pull to have. Then again, obviously, when we're talking about the Voids, I would love to have a legendary there. Yes, please, give me something useful. That doesn't really do anything. Yeah, that's not really what I was waiting for. There are a couple of areas where you see him occasionally do well, but I mean, honestly, when you pull a Void legendary, you're hoping for a Sifi, you hope for an Akrisha, you hope for just so many things. But Blood Twin, let's be honest, he's not really somebody where you're going to be there and you're like, yes, that's a loss. That's a huge fail. That actually upsets me a little bit. That's the problem with Void Shards. Like a lot of those Void legendaries, they really need a boost. Arena offense, it's nice that you have your passive, you know, when something, sorry, the passive, the, no, where enemies can't be revived. But yeah, that's a bit of a shame. Yeah, that's really a shame. That one hurts. That one hurts. That's basically the mercy system reset for Blood Twin. Nah, honestly, that's bad. That's bad news. Okay, so definitely the main account has so far won all of this. I have 4 Sacreds. Let's hope that we're getting at least a little bit of a win. The best pull up to this point was for sure Sylar, but she's not somebody where I say like, okay, this was totally worth it here. So let's hope that we're at least gonna get something out of my Sacreds. Can be a nice pick. Duedan, I already have him here. Great champion, don't get me wrong. Faction Wars, really good. But again, I wanted something that has a little bit more of an impact, just generally speaking. I don't always want to pull champions where I'm like, oh, well, you know, for Faction Wars, they could be nice. Malkithia, similar. I might be able to use him in a few other areas. But so far, that doesn't really rock my boat. Lots of useful stuff, don't get me wrong. Like, there's worse. But nothing where I really say, okay, this was worth the pull. So come on, a little bit RNG. Apparently I used up my RNG when I pulled Senna on the other account. Let's hope for at least one legendary on this one or another legendary. Nope, even that is not happening. And what we're getting instead is Crimson Helmet, which makes matters even worse. I don't know, guys. I'm a little bit, yeah, I'm a little bit miffed over here. I was hoping for more, and I couldn't quite get it. I'm not going to pull the primals right now, but yeah, that's me. That's me pulling the shards. Again, Senna by far the best on the main account. When it comes to the free-to-play account, on the other hand, definitely not lucking out here. Yeah, a couple that are decent for Faction Wars. I will build them eventually, but nothing that really boosts the account right now where I say like, alright, this one is going to be upgraded immediately. I need this champion on 60 right away to make this happen, but yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. What did you guys get? Who pulled Shards? Were you a little bit more lucky than I was on your accounts? What did you get? Anybody that pulled everything? Did somebody walk away with a Sifi or something on the same level? or what's the tally right now? I hope that you were a little bit more lucky than me. Senna disregarded for just a second. Main account, I have no complaints, don't get me wrong. On the main account, I'm actually quite okay. But on the free-to-play account, I was hoping for more. Either way, thank you for making it this far in the video. If you did, then give it a like. And yeah, let me know in the comments what exactly you got. I hope you lucked out and RNG was a little bit better for you. For me, a bit of a mixed bag here. But hey, we'll see with the next event. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.